All right, good afternoon, everybody. So today I am going to, we are going to start our unit on our science unit on how seeds get around. So there's three different types of seeds that we're going to talk about for what's called seed dispersal, which is the methods that seeds use to travel from one place to the next. We know that it wouldn't make sense for a tree, if a tree, for example, um, wanted to diversify its genetics, it would have to somehow transport those seeds away from the tree. So there are three main uh, strategies that plants have evolved to be able to disperse their seeds, and we're going to talk about those. Um, so this unit, we're going to actually begin with, we're going to have our science journals. Here I have my science journal. And on the very first thing I would like to start us off with is we are going to reflect on what I call the essential questions of this unit. And our essential question, and I want you guys to go ahead and write this on the top of your journal at the very beginning. Our essential question is, which seed characteristics are successful adaptations for effective dispersal, and how does this increase, or how does this process change from species to species? So we're going to think about this. We're going to refer back to this essential question periodically throughout this lesson. All right, so once you guys are finished writing that in your journal, we'll go ahead and start. Here I have a short little video for you about, it kind of goes over the main types of seed dispersal. And so for those of you who might have, I have graphic organizers available for those of you who might need extra support writing your notes, but I encourage you to write some key takeaways in your journal, and we will go over these, what we learned right after this. With that being said, I'm going to share screen and I'll show you this quick little video. All right, you guys should be able to see it now. All right, so I'm going to play the video. All right, so now that we finished the video, for the sake of time, I cut it off for the sake of this recording. But now that once we finish this video, we're actually going to start. I'm going to stop. We're going to start our first activity. So now that you guys have wrote some notes in your video, in your journal about seed structure, the three main types of seed structure, we know that one type is dispersed by water. And so real quick, I'm going to show an example of a seed dispersed by water. I'm going to share my screen. All right, you guys see how this is a coconut, actually, which is a huge seed. It is a type of seed, as big as it is. It's actually getting dispersed. It's lighter than water. It's less dense than water. So it's getting dispersed on the ocean, away from its home tree, its parent tree. And eventually it's going to end up likely on a different island or a different part of the island. It's going to grow and create, and that is how that palm tree is going to genetically diversify across the island. So that's an example of water dispersal method. I'm going to show you another example. Have you guys ever gone on a hike or, oh, I just want to make sure I'm sharing screen. Let me stop here for a second. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so have you guys ever gone on a hike or walked through some bushes and you get these little sticky things stuck on your feet or on your shoe or on your sock? This is an example of how some certain species of seeds will travel by attaching themselves to animals, including ourselves. This is an example of how of animals, of the strategy of using animals to transport. Well, some examples of places where they might do this more are like in the jungle, where there's less space for seeds to disperse in the air or water, but there's more availability if they can attach onto an animal, and then eventually they will be released into the wild in a completely different location. Another type of animal dispersal, which I don't have a picture of right here, but another example that we have is through swallowing certain animals, like such as birds will swallow seed pods, and they will digest the certain contents of the seed, of the outer shell of the seed, and they will actually poop out their seeds in a completely different place, and that will help the seed grow into in a different environment. So there's two main types of animal dispersal. There's attaching, and then there's eating. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop screen share for just half a sec here. The last kind that we're going to talk about is through the air. All right, so you guys should be able to see that. So you see here we have a dandelion. How many of you guys ever blown on a dandelion and watched the little seedlings fly off into the air? Sort of like little parachutes. They glide over, the wind carries them. It's really fun. So that's an example of how lots of seeds, especially that have more space, such as savannas or grassy fields and stuff, how they will disperse their seeds by having light little feathered pieces that will help them float in the air. Dandelion is an excellent example of a seed that disperses through the air. With that being said, showed you guys some pictures. So now we're going to start our first activity. So we know that there's the three main types of seeds that are dispersed are by water, animals, and wind. So the question is, how can we identify these seeds and how they disperse? How does each part help the seed move? What is it about the shape? And we're gonna discuss these questions in our journal. So what we're gonna do, based on your observations, you guys are going to look at a web source that I have. It's called Discover for Kids. So let me share a screen real quick. Let me get this pulled up, and then I'll share a screen just so you guys will know. I'll give you a sec here. Okay, I'm gonna share a screen. All right, you guys should see that. All right, so here's an article I want you guys to kind of read. I want you guys to think about the questions that we talked about. What shape do these seeds have that help them move? And what types of material do we notice? What are some things that we notice with these seeds? How do they move? Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys some time and read over this article, take some notes. At the end, we're gonna share out. And so here we go. I'm gonna just skim over real quick. This is the article. All right, you guys. So now that you've read that article and you guys have taken some notes, we're gonna have a little discussion about what you've learned based on the questions. Okay. Right. So at this point, once you guys have finished your discussions, we're going to go on to the next activity here. This activity, so now that we've identified some of the examples of the three types of seeds, now we're going to go explore. This will be fun. We're going to explore our own community. Whether you are at home, if you're at home, you can explore around your neighborhood, or if we're at school, you would explore around your campus. Find examples of seeds all around you, different kinds of seeds, and then collect them. And what we're going to do, oh, and real quick reminder, if you see seeds from living plants, it's okay to take pictures for your research, but do not move or remove the seeds from their plants. That's a natural process. We want to let the trees and the bushes do that on their own. So look for, if seeds that you want to collect, for those, you look for seeds that have fallen under the ground or you find in the wind. But if they are attached, we are take pictures only and will not collect those. All right, so once you guys do that, I'm going to let you guys off do that. Okay, so now once you guys come back, now that we're back, so here's what I want you to do in your journal with your seeds, okay? Describe the seed using words and pictures. Okay, I want you to illustrate. In other words, I want you to draw with your pencil a picture of these seeds. We're going to use those illustrations as part of our research. Okay, and I want you to think about the questions, answer these questions. What do you notice about the structure of your seed? How does it compare to your partner's seed? What surroundings were you in when you found your seed? Was it grass? Was it savanna? Was it forest? Was it wet? Was there a creek or any sort of body of water or like a pond? All right, so once you guys write your notes on that, you're going to go connect with a partner, and you guys are going to share out what you learned and share about your seeds, okay? All right, then. So once you guys are done with that, there will be a third activity we will do. All right. So for this activity, we are going to use what we've learned so far in our research, in our journals, including our diagrams and our pictures, our notes, our questions, and we're going to refer back to that essential question. You guys remember? The essential question is, which seed characteristics are successful adaptations for effective dispersal, and how does this change from species to species? So I want you guys to refer to that and think about that question throughout this activity. So this activity, it's our third activity, is engineering a seed. Once you guys are all familiar with the way the seeds disperse, we're going to design and test your own ideas. So what you're going to do, we're going to use lima beans. I have some lima beans here I'm going to give to you all. And you are going to use organic materials around your environment. So organic, some examples would include wood, fiber, paper, dust, sawdust, water even. And we're going to use these to carry the dried lima beans. We're going to test our strategies, our designs. We're going to test them and see if they work. And we're going to take notes. And here's our goal, okay? So students will test your designs and get your lima beans to, here's the goal. For one, float in water for 5 minutes. So if you can get your bean to float in water for 5 minutes, then you've successfully designed a water dispersal method. Second, stick an animal or get carried over 10 feet. So if you can find a seed dispersal where you can get it dispersed for over 10 feet on an animal or on a piece of cloth or something. The next one is if you can get a seed to float in the air for over 5 feet. So if you let a seed go out in the air, the wind blows it. If you can blow it over 5 feet, that's how you know you've had a successful air dispersal method. So what I want you guys to do while you're working on that, thinking about the questions, okay? I want you to record your observations in your journals. Okay, we got our journal. Describe what went well, what could have went better, and then you're going to gather with your partners from before, and you're going to discuss your questions and your observations, okay? For those of you students who might be a little behind right now, maybe struggling a little bit, we have a guided inquiry approach. So what we're going to do is I'll model the process with you. I'm going to support by asking questions, promote deeper inquiry throughout the process. So I would recommend while you guys work on this, if you're going to go out in the community, if you're going to leave your neighborhood, or if you're going to go beyond your house, that you go with an adult to help you. Okay. Okay. So now after you guys have done that, so in our last phase here, we're going to have a think, pair, share activity. So you guys are going to partner up. You're going to have your notes all filled out with all your observations, your questions, your notes, about the 3 types of seeds. All right. So you're going to partner up, and you guys are going to discuss. Okay. Think, pair, share. So what we're going to have, you guys are going to discuss your thoughts, and then you guys are going to have an opportunity to share the questions that you have as a pair to the class. And the teacher, I will refer to the essential questions as a guide and emphasize the importance of the inquiry and the scientific method. Okay. After you've completed your engineer seed, you guys are going to share out your experiences as evidence for the science that you met the science standards. Okay. And so here are the science standards. I'm going to share screen real quick. And at this point in the lesson, you guys will have already been exposed to the science standards, but for the sake of this recording, we're going to just go over them now. Okay. So I'm going to share screen and go over my lesson plan with you guys. All right, so you guys are going to use your journals as evidence that support your argument that plants get the materials they need chiefly from air and water. And you're going to conduct short research projects that use several resources to build knowledge through investigation of different aspects of the topic. In this case, different types of seed dispersal. And then we're going to demonstrate our understanding of figurative language, word relationships, and nuances in word meanings. So for example, seed dispersal. What does dispersal mean? What's an essential understanding? What are seeds? How do seeds move? Why do seeds move? What are the different types? Air, water, animal. What are some examples? We're going to get a list of all these different words in our readings and in our videos that we're going to watch. All right. And as another resource for you guys, I just want to make sure I bring this up before I forget. There's another video I want you to watch. Okay. So you would actually watch this video right before the beginning of your second activity. I just forgot to bring it up before. All right, so I'm going to share screen again. This video is a little bit longer. This is 12 minutes, and it talks about seed dispersal, and it gives some great examples. So I'm going to play the video. All right, you guys, now that you've watched that video, you can add those to your notes. We're going to use those throughout the rest of the unit. All right, so now, once you guys are done during the after phase here, all right, so here's the key. Here's the key assessment that we want to do to make sure that we met our learning objectives. Okay, remember the standards we've talked about? So the first thing you guys are going to do, you're going to have your journals. You're going to write everything in your journal, all right? And when you're all done and you have everything recorded, including pictures, questions, observations, and any sort of notes that you've taken on the videos or articles, you will turn those into me, and then I will go over those to assess your guys' overall research methods, thinking, and understanding. Okay, so that's part one. Part two, you're going to turn it into me. Part two is I'm going to use a rubric. Here, I'll show you real quick. So I would have already, in an actual teaching of this lesson, I would have already introduced this rubric to you guys at the beginning. Here, let me pull it up real quick. Just got to get it up here. Here we go. I'm going to share screen. All right, so this is the rubric you guys are going to go over. So what I want you guys to do is throughout the unit, while you're working on your journals, you would be using this rubric to sort of measure your progress in relation to the standards. And then at the end, I would, as a teacher, I would use this rubric to kind of go over your experiments that you did in activity 3 and in your journals to see if you guys are doing the scientific method using appropriate tools, reasoning strategies, connecting to your RUSP references, comprehension, using the information and the data for your reasoning, and scientific concepts. So strictly related to your content, so your understanding of seed dispersal and the different types. All right, so I'm going to grade that, and then I'll give it back to you. I'm going to provide extensive feedback for you. So once you're done with that, with your unit on seed dispersal, you'll have some tools that you can take with you for the next activity that will involve scientific reasoning and inquiry. All right, so that being said, I'm going to stop screen share. I am going to go over just one more time the essential questions that are anchoring us for this unit. Okay, so remember, which seed characteristics are successful adaptations for effective dispersal, and how does this change from species to species? And as we recall, as we learned, the 3 major types of seed dispersal are air, water, and animals. Okay. All right, you guys. So that concludes my my recording for today. I look forward to seeing you all on Monday, February 15th. And yeah, I hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for your time.